Welcome to the first ever episode 242 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. I am Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Shout out to Svengoolie.
Yeah, man. For a riveting pre-show where we talk about this dude. He's half Sven, half
This
Ghoul.
dude. You're insulting what Svengoolie is to every Chicagoland fan watching.
You guys can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to get the exclusive pre and post show. Is it worth it this week?
Oh, yeah.
Imran, what do you think?
We had a lot of talk about Svengoolie and what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Did we find out that Imran can't see lasers? We did.
What about my dragon rot theory that entertainment sickness can affect you in real life?
The former Imran Khan and FM3 himself, FM3_ on Twitch. How are them Fran Fridays going?
On and off. I mean, I've been doing it. I
Not
can't
so
remember
well.
because I've been sick, and like last week was the raid in Destiny. But no, I'm still always there to the best of my abilities on Friday. I'll be there this Friday playing Destiny.
Imran, you've been streaming too.
Yeah.
How's that been
I gotta
going?
catch these.
It goes fine. I'm playing through Shenmue 2.
Cool.
And
Yes.
I increasingly am discovering that Shenmue 2 kind of sucks.
Wow.
Like, no, I mean, I am
It's
sure
an old game,
in
dude.
in 2001, when that game came out, it was revolutionary. In 2019, when your catch 3 leaves consecutively, and if you miss one, then you have to redo this entire minigame. That sucks.
Yeah.
And they should really, I'm hoping Shenmue 3 is different. Mm-hmm. When I get to it, I'll figure that out. But
Yeah.
You're,
That's cool.
Imran-
What's your Twitch .tv?
Imran ZOMG.
That's what I was making sure.
There you go.
But ask him where his archives go.
Where do those archives go, Imran?
Those go on youtube.com/shockingalberto.
Shocking
Alberto.
Alberto.
Yes.
Please give me a little bit of context here.
His
There
real
is
name's
a
Alberto.
there is a
What
no.
a shock.
there's a character in a 1980s anime movie by a director named Imagawa that was called Giant Robo, and there's a character in that game or that movie just called Shocking Alberto, and I was like, this is a cool last name. I'm just stealing this and using it for my own username.
Cool.
Yeah.
And here we are.
On the record.
Here we are. The legend continues.
Legend grows.
This is the Kind of Funny Gamescast each and every week right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. We talk about video games, all the things that we love about them. You can get the show early and ad-free by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, or you can wait and watch it on Mondays on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, or podcast services all over the damn place, Greg.
A plethora of options. A cornucopia of choice.
You can
A
just search-
circus of value.
You can search for Kind of Funny Gamescast on your favorite podcast service. Leave us your thumbs up. Leave us your 5 stars. I don't want a penny less. Not a penny less.
Thank you for your support.
Shout out to our Patreon producers, Zach Parsley and James Hastings this month.
It's a tasty duo.
Oh, it is a tasty deal, Fred. We got energy today. Fred got all cooped up in a train on the way here, and now he's just ready to burst.
Unleash the legend.
Busted.
It's like when
Busted
you let Mr. Pringle out of a can. That's Fran right now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I didn't know he was in the can.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Mr. Peanut is in the peanut. Anyway.
At the request of one nanobiologist, who I saw today is in the chat under a different name.
I
Yeah.
hate that.
Michael something or other.
I'm Michael.
If that's your real
Doxed.
name.
I'm
Doxed.
Michael N. Biologist.
We are finally doing the Gamescast You're Wrong. Any time you listen to the show, if we get something wrong, you can go to kindoffunny.com/Gamescast You're Wrong. And the following week, we will correct it in the beginning of the show.
Nervous
Let's
about
see
this,
what
Tim.
we got wrong last week. Not much.
Good.
Not much. The nanobiologist himself writes in saying that Season of Undying is Season 8, not 7.
I don't think I said that.
He also said each. Well, I don't think it would have been me, Frank. Each Destiny 2 season is $10, separate from the digital deluxe edition, $25 extra from the base price. And then Kicked in the Cabal says, Fran mentioned farming spin metal on Mars. Spin metal's found on Earth. Relic iron is found on Mars.
Fuck, dude. Can you show your face on the Destiny
Was an
Community Podcast
example
again?
of Destiny 1,
Oh
places
my
to go, things to
God.
earn. There were 2 separate examples. I'm sorry.
And we did just get
Yeah, I got
a
that wrong
breaking news here. Greg Miller writes in just saying, "You a straight bitch." The real Greg Miller.
I did that. That was me.
Yeah, I heard
No,
it.
it's me because I'll say the real Greg Miller at the end.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's the only way. Anyways, if we get anything wrong this week, kindoffunny.com/Gamescast You're Wrong. We'll read it next week.
Especially if Fran got it wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, please just watch Fran. Really.
Keep an eye, record everything I say.
And then send all the notes to
Transcribe it.
Destiny Community Podcast.
You gotta love it.
Email
You gotta
Luke
love it.
Smith directly and tell him all the things Fran
No,
got
don't
wrong.
do that. I don't want to fall from Bungie's grace.
Oh, you never were in it, buddy.
No, exactly.
Greg,
Yeah, buddy.
Concrete Genie.
It's finally here. Concrete
PlayStation
Genie.
4 exclusive, first party title.
Right?
Let's go.
Pixel Opus. It's what I love about it is it's a return to PlayStation doing something weird.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds maybe weird if you're not listening to every one of the shows, but we've talked a lot about PlayStation 4 in particular, right? Moving away and becoming this, hey, we make AAA first party games, we put those out, we don't go to E3, we're not showing indies on the stage, yada, yada, yada. PS3, of course, was the time of The Last Guy, and like, we're just making weird ass shit, putting a flower, whatever, be experimental, be artsy. Concrete Genie's fantastic. The more I played it, the more I loved it. Even stepping away from it, I platinumed it on, what's today's Thursday, so I platinumed it Tuesday night, and then we did the Cool Greg launch party stream on Wednesday, available soon on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
Saturday.
So if you're watching Monday, it's already up. And Pixel Opus came through to do it with us and talk to them about it. And even watching Cool Greg, I was like, man, this is such a special game. Like, I'm so glad they nailed this landing. I'm so glad it's resonating with people, because that was the other concern of like, it's a different kind of game, right? It's $30, $40 if you get the deluxe edition. It's short-ish, you know what I mean? I would say probably the main campaign 6 hours-ish, you know what I mean? I want to say it took me 2 solid nights of playing, so that probably checks out.
I got close to finishing it in like a 3-hour demo.
Oh, the whole game?
Well, they pushed me ahead to the third act because they wanted to show me that big thing.
Okay.
That changes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I would say 6-ish hours. But again, it was that I played through it in 2 nights to beat the story, but then came back to platinum it and keep going. And if you're unfamiliar with it, the idea here is that you are Ash. You are a kid who loves to draw and paint. And so, as Cool Greg loves to point out, you go paint on the walls. And the idea here is that you have this town that you love and have fond memories of, and it has been, entrenched in darkness now. And you go through and paint with your magic paintbrush on the walls, which brings color and life back to it. There's a lot more going on there. There's a lot of different themes they're playing with. There's this group of other children who are bullies and bully Ash that roam the streets that you have to avoid, that wear on Ash. But what I described in my tweet was, and I think nails it the best for me personally, is that it's a storybook. You know how I talk about like Knights and Bikes feels like a storybook, like a golden book, like I'm paging through and you can feel that. It's a storybook mixed with the Goonies, where it is this coming of age story of understanding your, not even opponents, but your bullies, or if you're the bully, the kids you are bullying and why you're doing it. Like there's a whole bullying narrative to this adventure.
And they've worked with some anti-bullying groups. They wouldn't tell me which ones because I think they want to keep it anonymous. But like they did their research and they wanted to make sure that they actually showed that story the way it would most benefit players.
100%. And it's one of those games I talked about on the stream with Cool Greg, right? That I think I'm better at games than I am movies, but I always talk about in movies how dumb I am. Where like we'll leave and you, Tim, I'm pointing at you, and Nick will talk about movies on such a different level that I was just like, I liked it. I didn't notice the weird, sideways shots or whatever.
Dutch angle.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking for. Concrete Genie does so much with color temperature in a way that resonates even when I think I wasn't paying attention to it specifically. Where, it is dark and gray and these blues when it's infested with badness. And then when you go through and you paint on the walls, you light up these lights along it, which give it this warmth and give it, this very, like the hearth in the middle of a house thing. Cool Greg's drawing on a wall. So like you bring light and love back to it and you get those oranges and those reds, right? In the same breath, when Ash, the character you're playing as, has the flashbacks to his life and how he remembers the town before it all went wrong, they are that warmth, and they're orange and they're reds and they're colorful and they're sweet, and it's him playing it with his parents and this seal that was so funny that lived in the town or whatever. And then when you interact with the bullies and gets parts of their stories, theirs are flashbacks drawn in the same like animated cell style, kind of like Deadly Class, if anybody else watched Deadly Class. But theirs are those dark colors. Theirs are dark reasons. They have bad memories associated with the town, and it's why they're doing what they're doing and why you're doing what you're doing.
And I think when I talk to them, granted, I'm just going to keep relying on this.
Please, no.
But they told me that it's kind of based on a couple of different like port towns, like Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco. So like the seal that's sitting on the rock is a San Francisco landmark.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things of the game is kind of inherently anti-capitalist. So they're taking a look at these cities of look what businesses and capitalism has done to these things.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I think the reasoning for why the town's bad is because like there was a disaster from businesses coming in and just abandoning it.
Yeah, and then it's overrun by people being these kids who are destroying it and stuff. Yeah.
So like it's from looking at it from that perspective, it's interesting to see that kind of story coming from one of the biggest publishers in the world, saying like, "Hey, yeah, companies and corporations do terrible
Cannery
shit."
did all this stuff. Ran it out. all that aside, like this is where I would have never expected to start with Concrete Genie, is talking about the story of Concrete Genie. When I started I played the VR mode, talked about it on Gamescast a while back about how much I loved it. Cool Greg had gone and done the single player stuff and come back and talk about how much he loved it. But even that was more the mechanics of it, right? Which are, as you go through, in the very beginning, these bullies tear up your art book and throw it to the winds. And so you have to go back through the game, collect your art pages. Obviously, in the very beginning, you meet the first genie, Luna, who's one of your creations, who gives you the magic paintbrush to go through and take the drawings off of your page and put them onto the walls. And then they're interacting, they're moving. You use the genies you're creating to solve different puzzles in the world to keep advancing the story, keep bringing light back to the world, get to the next section and keep going. Then, of course, as you mentioned, right, way deep in the game, probably 3/4 of the way through, there is a point where it switches over and the gameplay you've been doing that whole time switches to something completely different, and they actually nail it where that is fun and that is enjoyable. And that wasn't what I hate in a game when I get to the end and it's like, now fight the boss with something you've never done before. And you're like, this sucks.
That has been revealed if you want to actually just talk about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to. I want you to play Concrete Genie. Concrete Genie gets a giant Greg thumbs up seal of approval.
So you platinumed it.
I did.
Really quickly, which is impressive.
Thank you. That's what
I heard you when Pixel Opus was here yesterday. You were talking to them and you were praising them on their trophies. What makes them special?
They do it right. It's the thing that I think even with some first parties, Naughty Dog, you see people not understand what people enjoy about trophies and why you'd want to be a part of it. This is a game made by an incredibly small team. Pixel Opus is tiny. They're down in San Mateo. You know what I mean?
They've got
work
like
in
half a floor up in that.
Exactly. And, talking about it on the stream, it vacillates. 12 is like how many people are usually there. There was like 20 at one point in terms of contractors. Every part, there's two designers made the entire world you exist in, which is crazy because it's so detailed and so beautiful. And so much fun to traverse. I digress. Trophy question. It's the idea that every trophy that's there is there to make you do something a different way, learn about a mechanic you would avoid. Every trophy icon is something they made from scratch for you. You can't miss any of the trophies. Cool. It's fun to get all these trophies. None of it is out of your reach, annoying. None of it is mundane, do this over and over and over again. It is... They made this game that's so special because it's so personal. You find, your own story in it, let alone the story there. They made it that's so beautiful. The cutscenes are immaculate. Again, back to that. That's where the storybook feel really comes of like
it's
Ash's,
Leica. It's inspired directly by Leica.
Exactly. And like so his eyebrows are animated by, they're hand drawn and all this stuff. Like it looks like animation cells. Then it's fun to paint and make your own world and craft it that way. But then on top of that, they made a world that's just fun to explore, period. Where at the end of it, when I've lit up everything and the credits have rolled, when you go back into it, it is now just your playground to climb up, scale around, jump from rooftop to rooftop, slide down the ropes, like look in every nook and cranny to figure out what you're missing and use the genies.
So it's not a platinum that makes you hate the game at the end.
100%.
Because I've had a number of those.
And you said in a relatively short amount of time I did this, right? It's a game that never wore out its welcome, and I desperately want more of. You know what I mean? Like I gorged this game. I went 3-4 nights or whatever of it, and then went back for just the VR stuff, which is a completely separate mode. Isn't again back to the trophies? Isn't tied to the platinum. It's its own. You pop up. It's basically DLC trophies right there.
Cool. That's smart.
Yeah, 100%. And like even all that being said, it's that game. It's one of those games like, man, I'd love to play this again.
Yeah. Cool, Greg. You got to play a little bit of it yesterday. You don't have a PlayStation 4, so you can't play it right now. But if we get you the PlayStation 4, are you planning to keep playing through it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a game I'm going to play for the rest of my life, going back to. I'm trying to figure out the best way to stream it right now, because I do want my initial reactions to be streamed, because I think that'd be a lot of fun for everyone. But I'm used to streaming with music, and I'm not used to playing games and actually trying to beat them. So I did notice in our interview thing yesterday, I was a lot quieter than I was expecting to be just because I was focused. So I don't know if the content is where I want it to be to stream, but I'm going to figure it out. Might beat the game and then stream it on my second run through.
That's something we talked about too, is that Extra Life this year. Of course, first weekend in November 3rd, Saturday, November 2nd.
I think 2nd.
I guess I literally have second, November 2nd. I was talking Cool Greg. I think him and I are going to do a part of the stream where he tries to he platinums it. Doesn't try, does. We'll get it knocked down to a few certain trophies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think that it has the chance to dethrone Mark Echo's Getting Up?
I mean,
Look at him stumped. He stumped him.
I'm a PS2 to the end of the day. And to the end of my days, I'm a PS2 kind of guy. So I don't know, man. It's a little too complicated for me to put it above that.
Okay.
I loved how
Please.
dumbed down the PS2 was for everyone.
Please,
Yeah.
Tim, use the full title. Mark Echo's Getting Up Content Under Pressure.
Oh my God, you gotta love it, dude.
Oh, was
there
it?
you go.
It's funny. I
My
met
man.
Mark Echo, I think, for that. I feel like we interviewed him. Were you at IGN then when that came out?
I want to say, I wasn't there for
met him
that
briefly.
game, but I'm pretty sure we interviewed Mark Echo and the guy Michael C. Hall from Dexter
From
together.
Dexter.
That sounds
We were
right.
working on a Dexter mobile game, and it was at Comic-Con, and I forgot. I was pretty new at IGN, and we had to do stuff, and they're like, some video guy needs to go with Greg to interview people at this like weird party for random ass games.
Totally bizarre.
Yeah, one of the weirdest things to this day that I've ever done. It's like, yeah, just follow Greg with the camera, and Dexter's gonna be there. And like a couple of people were fighting over it because they're like, oh fuck, I want to like meet him. That's cool. And they're like, yeah, he's with Mark Echo. And I was like, fuck you all, Sean Finnegan. I'm going. I need to meet Mark Echo. And I remember I asked him, I'm like, so what's up with Getting Up too? And he's like, I don't think so, man. That was weird though.
Kevin, I found it. I'm gonna send it over to Control for you to find.
That's awesome. The
Thanks,
game was cool. I
buddy.
remember being super excited for that, though. Yeah, because of the art in it and all that.
But that's the thing is like, and I don't want to ruin.
Yeah.
See, that's especially for Cool Greg, because how much have you played much further than what you played yesterday? And I don't mean because at the
I just
preview
beat
event.
that level.
That's the preview event you did.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's the thing of like, the thing at the end, right? Harkens back so much to those kind of games, actually.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Jet Grind Radio or whatever, where it's like,
Just that.
yeah, sorry. What was the? They did a grind thing, didn't they? I don't think it doesn't matter.
Jet Grind was our American name.
Dreamcast, and
The
then
Jet Set
Jet Set
Radio
Radio.
Future was the
Gotcha,
sequel.
gotcha.
Yeah, Xbox One, yeah.
I'm excited for you to get to the end.
It's actually very similar to Mark Echo's Getting Up now that I think about it, because that game does introduce enemies at some point.
yeah.
Yeah, so similar to Concrete Genie.
There you
Throw
go.
this up there. This is me interviewing a young Greg Miller, interviewing Michael C. Hall at Comic-Con, and of course Mark Echo. I can't tell you for the life of me what I talked to them for 6.5 minutes about. What are we doing here?
We're back to our 3D roots. It's a new game on iOS, Android, open world Miami. Be a bunch of content packs throughout
Michael
the,
C. Hall
the,
also
the
has no
delivery
idea
of
why
the
he's
game.
there.
It'll launch this fall during the season, and we're really,
Just
really
forget
excited.
it. We can
Coming to
pop
PC
off.
Now I'm gonna
now.
look up this Dexter the
console.
game and see how many
point
content
is-
packs actually
You
come
know,
out of it.
Yeah,
But so cool, Greg. So Concrete Genie, you're loving it. It gets the 2 thumbs up.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to beat it, dude.
Cool stuff. Anything more, Greg?
No, I mean I can't say enough nice things about it, and I think it'd be a cool one for Spoilercast or something like that, or even a video game club, which we forgot last month. That's when he pointed out to me that we need to do 2 now. Fran, I need you for we should do. They
Let's
wanted to
do
do a
one,
Borderlands
dude.
one. We said we would do last time.
Oh, let's
and then
do it.
we should do maybe this. But there's so many games coming out now. We have our pick of the litter.
Yeah.
Loved it. Great soundtrack. Beautiful
Destiny.
game. Really blew me away. You know, I had. I was looking forward to, this would be a fun little game, and I thought it, excelled on every level.
Yeah, it's definitely a game you play to sit down and chill with. Like
Totally. It was relaxing. It was a relaxing game every night.
Because I had played it under not ideal circumstances. Of you have a couple hours of this demo, get as far as you need to get.
Yeah.
So that's time pressure. It's like I don't feel like solving this. I'm just gonna do the simplest genie I could do. But there's such cool stuff. The creation process of you can add stuff onto whatever genie you want.
Yeah,
It's
when
amazing.
you make your genie, you put you've unlocked different head horns or hats or
Horns.
tails.
So
Yeah.
you make a rhino?
Yeah, if you want to,
In
if
the
you're
spirit
talented
of
enough.
Mark Echo?
All right, I
Gotta
don't
do
even
it.
know what you're talking
Gotta
about.
do
So
it.
yeah, Dexter the Game 2 looks like the only piece of content on
Sorry,
IGN
2?
is this interview.
Was there a Dector the game one?
Never made it out the door, huh?
Oh,
Maybe.
man. Fran,
Yes, sir.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yes. This one.
I'm about to break.
This one was a little tough to get to because we had a lot going on with Borderlands and the Destiny grind and all that. So meaning it is the same type of game as Division, the looter shooter stuff. So if folks remember, Ghost Recon Wildlands came out 3 years ago or ish.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago actually. So when that came out, I really liked it because what made the newer version of Ghost Recon at that time, that style special, was this huge area within, I believe it was Mexico, South America, Central America.
2 years ago was Wildlands.
It was
Okay, thank
Bolivia in Wildlands, right?
Yeah,
Well, didn't they make up their own
which
thing?
is what the bottom of Central.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have a lot of.
No, I remember
kind of funny
because
conversation.
wrong.
because there was the actual country sued Ubisoft over it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Anyway, what made it really cool was it's really
Bolivia.
big open area. You could hop in a helicopter with a squad of 4 if you want, and just go around to these missions. And it wasn't a perfect experience, but I really liked it because it was so wide open, and you would just get together with a group of friends, sync your shots up. Wait, it's in South America. We're really bad. Oh, it is still Central.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it is South America.
It is South America. Yeah, Kevin pulled it up. Thank you. We don't need your corrections anymore. Anyway, too late. I like Ghost
There's only
Recon
50.
is where I'm going with it, but it wasn't a perfect experience. I played it a lot with Brian Albert at the time at IGN, and I really liked it. But as we've moved on, looter shooters have become the conversation. Borderlands is one of the few to not get into the weekly games as a service thing and all that. But so what Ghost Recon Breakpoint does, believe it or not, and I didn't realize this until recently because I played the demo at E3 and they didn't really show this off too much, is you actually have like a central location and maybe more, which is sort of your tower, or just like in Division, the White House, that you go back to and you see shared world. Like if Greg was playing,
okay.
he could be on my server and actually walking around in that shared space. Obviously, we can squad up. He can be on my friends list. Definitely should probably be more of a co-op experience. I was playing it single player, only played it a few hours, so I've only scratched the surface, so I can only comment on that part of it. The game was also provided by the Epic Store, technically probably from a Ubisoft deal, so just
Good point.
full
Yeah,
disclosure.
game provided by PlayStation on Concrete Genie.
Concrete Genie. Exactly.
Yes.
Both of those games were provided to us. But so again, it takes what I liked about Wildlands, this big open area. You can fly around, get in vehicles, like a little bit of that GTA vibe, just hopping in stuff, and lots of cool weapons. But it brings in more tactical gameplay is one big change as well. Like if you remember the demos at E3, it was all about like super intense. It also has what's his name, Shane from Walking Dead.
Bernthal.
What? Bernthal. Exactly, John Bernthal. So they bring a star to it, but it's really like that intense warfare feel, and you can get into the ground and roll over and do camo in the mud, and literally guys will walk like right by you if you're not careful. So they want to bring that intensity, and you can get hurt more so you really got to like bandage up a lot, watch your stamina more. So it's a lot more tactical. Like there'll be a spy plane that just passes over you. It happened for the first time to me, and like I didn't realize what was going on. All of a sudden I was just like spotted by a spy plane, and everybody descended on me and just wrecks you right away. The checkpoints are pretty good actually though. That doesn't really set you back too far.
It is interesting because like I've watched a bit of the game. I feel like we're in that wave now of games that are inspired by Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of that
Because like
too.
you can go after John Bernthal at the beginning.
Yeah.
It just you have no chance really.
Yeah, you need to get your gear score up or whatever
Yeah.
like you would in Division. It recommends that. That's a good point though. I guess you can just go give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think Breakpoint has always been like that.
Has it?
You mean
Or-
Ghost Recon?
Ghost Recon has always been like that. Where
Because I played through Wildlands, I don't recall anything.
You
like-
have to discover missions in Wildlands to get there, and
But you can. It's all open. You can just.
It
take
is-
a
you're right,
car
actually,
and
it is
go
open and you can
anywhere.
go into, like,
it's just
super-
everyone kicks your ass.
dangerous areas. Yeah. But maybe this
game.
has been pushed a little more in that direction. But
Right.
definitely, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you were playing on PS4, I'd be down to join you, squad.
Yeah,
up
on
with you.
PC. I should note I'm playing on PC too. I can't comment to console performance. Shocker, right? So anyway, I feel like I'm all over the place on this. So let me rein it in. I like the style of Ghost Recon. I really liked Wildlands, but the progression kind of like fell a little flat after a while. The PvP was like okay, and so it takes that and it tries to bring Division and a little bit of the Destiny feel to it. With the grind, you get green drops and so on, and you start leveling up your gear and get a gear score. I like that about it. But as far as I've made it, it's sort of lacking some personality and pace. Now, this is just the first few hours, but it didn't open up as like that super intense, story like they showed at E3. I thought that's what it would be.
Sure.
Now they have all the close-ups on the characters. You do get some dialogue eventually from Bernthal, but it actually takes a while. So it doesn't like start as cinematic.
You're gonna tell me.
Yeah, it doesn't start as cinematic.
Now I'm gonna ask you something.
Now I'm gonna ask you, Rick.
Yeah.
Walking Dead quotes.
I know. I was going to do an impression, then I was like, no, not right now. So anyway, it doesn't start as intense as I thought, but it's a pretty open world. But it does feel almost in a way a little bit generic in some ways.
This is
as
not
good
the
as it
same
looks.
studio as the Wildlands.
Is it?
That's what I'm looking up. It's Ubisoft Paris.
is doing this one?
Yeah, they did the Raving Rabbids, and they
I mean, Paris does a lot ultimately, right?
yeah. Well, I'm just surprised that I guess the Wildlands studio may be working on something for next gen.
Wait, Wikipedia cites Wildlands as
Maybe they both
Paris
work.
as well.
They probably, yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong, but
we're gonna get
I entered a different developer, so I was looking up.
You're wrong.
When I played this at E3, the demo, it was like, I have said this many times, it was like one of the worst demos I've ever
Yikes.
been a part of. But
Yeah,
with how
really.
it was set up, it was a 4-player thing, and the way that
They threw you in on that one.
the
I
dev
played
was
that.
kind of like, yeah, exactly. They just throw you in, and the way that they were running us through, everything felt rushed, and it felt like every single time that they'd teach us something about the tactical mechanics, where there was so much to learn. The moment things got interesting, they'd cut and move us on to something else. An example would be like, all right, we're going to go, and the forward's going to come in. You're going to go in that corner. You're going to go in that corner. You're going to go up high a little bit. You're going to go down low.
It was way too
We're
direct.
all going to point rocket launchers, and then we're all going to together shoot and blow up this thing.
This tank.
And then the moment that we did that, we all get in position. It's like, oh, this actually, now we get this. We're here. This is cool. And then we shot, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, cool, now on to the next thing. And it's like, that didn't feel like anything happened.
It's because he told you exactly what to do because he didn't want the demo to go wrong and you to feel frustrated.
And it's a limited amount of time.
Yeah, meaning literally that's what they were doing. And in that type of game, you have no idea what you're doing. You would have walked away frustrated. So instead, they gave you the pacifier version where you're like, oh, I have nothing to cry about, but I don't know, it was kind of boring, right?
It was not so much that, just I feel like there was a lot of buildup, and then it just kind of wasn't worth it. In the
There's
moments
no
that
sense of reward is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Because you were hand fed here, use this, go here, go.
But even that, just the reward itself isn't that cool.
You should have got drops from it, is really what it would have been. By the way, I played the same thing. I don't think the drops were enabled at the time. I don't know if they were talking as much about gear score and drops. But I hear you. It's definitely, from what I would say, here's what you want. Let me get to the meat of this. If you want and are interested in this type of game, you want to grind for loot, but also you like the open world Ghost Recon vibe, you like the tactical, more serious, is definitely more serious and takes itself a lot more seriously. All the dialogue with the characters is intended to be a little more, emotional, and this is a serious mission, everybody. There's nothing playful about it. But it is a lot more tactical. And so where I'm going with this, if you can get a group of friends together that take it as seriously as you do, I think it will be a fun experience for you. If you don't have that, maybe if you're the type of player that wants to go alone, you love crawling in the mud alone, listening to the sounds of the environment, and it's not a lot going on except for that, and you're crawling through the mud, maybe hop in a vehicle. I mean, there's moment to moment you can get in fights, but it's very slowly paced like that so far. First few hours, bear in mind. What it's like in the end game and these things changes.
But are you
a lot.
even having enough fun to want to go further?
I am this type of person that I think I would enjoy this, not for huge stretches at a time. But I'm hesitating because I haven't played more than a few hours. I know games like this. Division's the same way. If you try to judge Division on the first, couple hours, that's not a good way to judge.
You say
the game.
perfect 10, you walk away.
So I think I would be cautious going into it. But I think if you're interested in this type of game, there's something there for you, and I'm curious to see how it evolves. I think they've brought the right stuff to Ghost Recon. I haven't said that yet. I think this is what it needed. I'm liking the leveling up, finding the gear in the midst of basically you're still playing Ghost Recon in the style of the old ones. Go out on this mission, but now it's what's your gear score? And before, as a comparison in Wildlands, you'd find a blueprint for an item, right? And that was just oh, I just want that item. But now it's a little more I guess in some ways you're playing for your gear score. It's I can go out on this mission and get new weapons, and you know exactly where to go and all that. A little note about taking it seriously, too, and I like to play games this way. It has guided mode, which is the default. That's going to give you the waypoint on this really big map of where to go. They do tell you in a lot of tutorials up front, too. There's a lot going on, kind of with what you're getting at, Tim, to understand before I think it sinks in. You can turn guided mode off. I think you could do this in the last one, too, yeah. And it's really cool because it just gives you hints. It's in this area, you'll see a lighthouse nearby, it's above this lake. And so you don't really know until you get there if you're going to the right area. I think players who like to play that way are going to get more enjoyment out of it. So
It's at a 59 right now on Metacritic.
yeah. So like I said, I think be cautious. Maybe not for everybody. I gave Anthem a 6.8 at the time when it came out. I recommended it to people who might be into it, right? But be cautious. Otherwise, it's certainly not a game for everybody.
Do you have a sense in the first few hours of how the experience grind in that game is? Ubisoft's not been great about that recently. Of they removed the microtransactions from this game at launch that they called quote unquote time savers.
Right.
So like that, when I see that makes me think like, oh, this game is not going to respect my time by making the experience grind that more frustrating.
Haven't played enough to answer the question. Like, I don't feel underleveled in any way for what I'm doing, right? So it's hard to say like, ooh, I need more experience. And I don't know where the end game lands either. Okay. So I do know some people that are into these types of games that are playing quite a bit of it and seem pretty excited by it. But again, I think it's going to be a very niche type of experience. It's certainly not for everybody, but I like where they're going with it. Curious to see if they evolve it too. We saw Division, addressed a lot of things right out the gate too that kind of improved it, and then also it still has a ways to go with where it's at.
What was your read on the update that's coming next week?
I didn't look into the details yet. I watched the trailer and it was
You
really cool.
You hate to see it when Destiny just rots somebody's brain from the inside.
Okay, I played
out,
Destiny for
what I mean?
70 hours last week, and all
Addiction.
my brain melted.
You know what I mean? It's a real thing. You should hit up the World Health Organization.
So
Sounds like you got a problem.
I don't know. I feel like I was all over the place with Breakpoint. Are there any like key questions about it otherwise?
Do you fight robots? Because that's a central conceit of the game, right? Is that like you're an island that's been like doing weird drone technology.
Like Tim Cook / Elon Musk has taken over the island and is like some mastermind. And so it's meant to be that they're like this high-tech savior of the world type, but then they're keeping people hostage on this, like island or whatever, and they have like really high-tech stuff. That's the thing that's been added. Unlike the cartel feel of Wildlands, duly noted, there's a lot of like high-tech enemies, high-tech drones, high-tech spy planes, and eventually I assume gadgets and stuff that you can get too, but it diversifies the gameplay beyond just being this guy's a sniper, this guy's the captain. That's where I'm at with it, by the way. But eventually you get into taking on these big bases where there's a lot of different skills. In fact, because I turned off guided mode and I was streaming, I wasn't paying attention, I thought there was this huge like city looking place and where I thought I was supposed to be going. I went up, I was like, oh, it's the base. I just wasn't paying attention. And it looked to be like 10, 15 guys. And I'm like, yeah. Like maybe I'll try to start to snipe them out, And so I like go around this lake and I'm like, well, I better position myself a little better across the way. And I like open one shot and it's like, and there was like 40 exclamation marks. It's like obviously a huge base that's fortified. And all of a sudden they're all eyes on me. You hear the alarms going off. Everything's happening. I'm like, I'm laying there still. They're like, maybe I'll take a few. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm supposed to be here right now. And I start like booking. This is even the better part. And literally I get about like 25 feet away and I just hear like, and then right where I was sitting on the beach, like it blows up with this mortar shell that they shot. Like they had my location. I was like, I'm glad I left. Yeah. So there is some cool stuff like that, but I couldn't speak to the overall progression.
I'm just hoping by endgame you're fighting like actual standing robots, like Terminator style.
I don't know if it has that, but the tank that we fought at E3, that's what you were describing, right? It was very Terminator, even more high tech.
An HK.
It's like Minority Report, like futuresque, right? So definitely not for everybody, but of interest. We'll see where it goes.
Cool.
I'll report in if I can play more between Borderlands and Destiny 2 and checking in on Division. And
that's my man. Come on, let's
get
out there. Let's get out there. Come on.
Imran, you played After Party.
I did play After Party. Microsoft had some of us come out for an event where I played the first, I think, 2.5 hours of the game. So After Party, for people who don't know, is the newest game from the developers at Night School who made Oxenfree. And the main thing about that game was like very natural dialogue and very interesting story. You just kind of follow around a couple of teenagers doing their like teenage shit. Yeah.
Drinking on the beach.
It kind of veers into sort of horror movie-ish territory at some point, but
often does.
Yeah. And so After Party they wanted to make a game about a bar. And they basically worked from that idea of, okay, so what would you actually be doing in the bar? Is it more fun to be the person drinking or the bartender? So they're like, okay, well, it's going to be someone drinking, and this game needs a villain then, so they figured, okay, Satan. Satan makes a logical villain. Mm-hmm. So the conceit of the story is that you play 2 teenagers, Lola and Milo. I know Lola is voiced by Janina. Yeah.
Gavankar.
Yes. And I forget Milo's voice actor off the top of my head. But they find themselves in hell. And they don't know why they're there. They think it's a mistake. And they're told by someone, there's a loophole that if you outdrink the devil and outparty him, you'll be shown the door back to life.
Words to live by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very
so
tenacious dude.
The game is about trying to figure your way out into Satan's party. And then out-party him, basically, and get shown the door back to real world.
So this all sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
How is this a video game?
it's think of it more as like a
would you say you
narrative
do?
thing. So when you're going around these places in hell, and hell is like a bureaucracy too. When the day ends, everyone just goes drinking and does their own shit, and like you don't have to worry about demons harassing you while you're walking around hell. But you have the options of who to talk to. You generally have dialogue choices, and you can make those dialogue choices different depending on what you choose to drink. So, for example, when you're trying to get into Satan's party, you get all the way to the top, you realize, oh, there's no way to get in. We're not invited. So you look on Twitter, basically. I forget what they exactly call it, but it's basically Twitter. And someone's saying, I have an invite to the party. And you can have a couple of choices of who to actually pursue for this. So I found a woman who says, all I need is a drink, and I'll give you my invite. So I went to go look for her, and I went to the bar before I go talk to her. I was like, okay, order one drink for her and order a drink for me. And the drink, the effect says, you become confident and flirty. So every time I was able to talk to her as Milo, I was able to have this third dialogue option that was like extremely, how do I put this, pickup artist style of like, yeah, you know you want me. So why don't we just make this deal and let's go? And that extended to like various other things that they say it's not a branching narrative. And I think we talked about this on Games Daily a couple of weeks ago about how I said I didn't like branching narratives in games anymore because I'd rather have one well-written story.
Tell me your story.
Yeah. So this is that. This is tell you a story, but you do have options of how the dialogue goes.
Sure.
So for example, in this
Similar
one,
to like Walking Dead Season 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like that's always going to basically end the same way, even if you change the details.
Yeah.
And like so, this one, the lady was she was a singer in real life. She sold to Satan, and she sold it for a successful career her whole life, and then she died a year later because like an accident.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Rule 3, don't fuck me.
she has to basically sing at this like musicians lounge bar for the rest of eternity. So she was booked that night, and she couldn't go to a reunion show at Satan's party. So you need to go talk to her manager and the club owner and get them to like actually let her out for this day. So I was there and I was like, okay, I have a couple options. I could lie to them, I could tell them the truth, or I could hit on her. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try and hit on her. And she's like, you're cute, but no, you're an actual human and this is hell. So there's absolutely no chance. So that was the wrong drink for that choice. Okay. But there's other drinks that are like, this one makes you talk like a pirate. This one makes you more confident.
Makes you talk like a pirate. Okay.
And there might be somebody in there that's like, I want to talk. I think it'll be hilarious if I talk to a pirate. There was one where I was playing a game of beer pong against a demon, and because hell is about trash talk, I drank a drink before that makes you more aggressive and confident. So I'm playing like with Lola, who is a very not necessarily meek person, but very like to herself and like not necessarily aggressive. She's basically giving straight up trash talk the entire time. And even though I lost the beer pong, I did such a good job trash talking. The guy whose birthday party it is, who was a serial killer, he's basically a John Wayne Gacy type, came in. It's like, that was great. I'm going to invite you upstairs to the actual party, which is where you're trying to go.
Wait, did you actually play beer pong with gameplay mechanics?
Yes. It's 2D. So basically, you're like aiming like an Angry Bird style.
It's always like the side of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not top down, right?
Yeah. So yeah, like it's an Angry Birds kind of thing, and like I think it went to the last cup, and he just happened to get it, so I lost it.
And outside of that as well, are you walking like from scene to scene, or is it like a moving world that you move through?
Have you played Oxenfree at all?
No.
Okay, so there is a world map. You can like see the entirety of hell if you want to, but you have basically a ferryman named Samantha who's played by Ashley Birch. And
cool.
She like during these like loading transitions between areas, she talks to you about things about the way hell works. So there's like a fun or an interesting conversation where you're like, so yeah, how do we know Satan's not going to cheat? It's like, he's not evil. And I'm like, but he's Satan. And then there's like a longer conversation of like, yeah, like he's the morning star. He had these thoughts about leadership and authoritarianism with God that kind of got him cast out. But God had a better propaganda machine. So he may be running hell, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily like a bet squelcher. So there's a pretty funny line of like Lola just going, it kind of sounds like you're defending Satan. And then just like quiet for like the next like 30 seconds until the scene transition changes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Lola and Milo, are they friends?
They're friends. They've been best
sister?
friends since I want to say like middle school, and like they went through college together, and the game opens with them on at a college party, and it's the worst fucking college party ever. That people are just bringing up all these horrible things they've done in college, like, hey, yeah, you were that guy who puked the first day, weren't you? It's like, oh, I think they call him like Exit Flu or something like that as a nickname. And then like, okay, we just need to go. This is awful. And it's like, gets revealed, oh wait, actually you're in hell. This is you being tortured. And then like you go through an employee onboarding kind of thing where they ask you a couple of questions like, what are you most nervous about? Have you ever done this? Are you ever get haunted by something embarrassing? And then when you answer those questions, like it creates a personal demon that like just comes at you at certain points in the game and just starts taunting you about various things like, yeah, you're never actually going to do this. You know that, right? You're going to be stuck here for eternity. So it's a very like an interesting mechanic. If you answer that honestly, that pries on your insecurities.
Yeah.
So like
that's cool. Yeah. So what systems is this coming to?
It is PC, PS4, and Xbox One, I believe.
And it's on Xbox Game Pass, right?
Yes, it'll be Game Pass day one. Yeah. I believe it comes out end of this month.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. This sounds cool. I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I played this game I think originally last year, like a day of the devs. And I was like, this is amazing writing. I can't believe I am eager to see where this goes, and the concept is great too.
Cool. This episode is brought to you by Mugsy Jeans. Mugsy Jeans are the most comfortable men's jeans ever made. Here's the deal. I'm standing by this. I love these things. I need to save up a little bit of money right now to make this plan a reality, but my plan is to get rid of all the jeans that I have, all of the jeans that I've had for years, that I've been buying for years. Get rid of them. Replace them all with Mugsy Jeans. They sent me one pair, and I'm in. I'm all in. These are so soft. They're so stretchy. It feels like you're wearing sweatpants, but it doesn't look like you're wearing sweatpants. It's been a big issue I've had my entire life, wanting that. You know what I mean, Kevin?
Oh, I get it.
And it's good. Blessing was here a couple weeks ago. He got these Mugsy Jeans. He was telling me that he loves them too. You got to trust him if you don't trust me. Mugsy's come in a stylish fit that's not too baggy, but not too tight, so you look even better than you feel. If you want comfortable jeans that look good, Mugsy Jeans are for you. The guys at Mugsy are so confident that you will love them that they offer free U.S. shipping and returns, so your comfort is 100% guaranteed. You guys can go to Mugsy.com, Mugsy.com, and use code KINDA for $10 off. Again, that's Mugsy.com. Use code KINDA for $10 off. Also, shout out to Upstart. As most of us have found out the hard way, getting into debt, it's easy. Getting out, it's hard, especially if your credit score isn't great. Thankfully, now there's Upstart.com, the revolutionary lending platform that knows you're more than just your credit score. And they offer smarter interest rates to help you pay off high-interest credit card debt. Greg Miller, he was a young man once, made a lot of bad decisions. This could have helped him. Upstart goes beyond the traditional credit score when assessing your credit worthiness. They actually reward you based on your education and job history in the form of a smarter interest rate. Upstart believes you're more than just your credit score. They believe in you, man. Someone has to. They make it fast, simple, and easy to check your rate in just a few minutes. And the best part is, once the loan is approved and accepted, most people get their funds the very next business day. Over 300,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards or meet their financial goals. You can see why Upstart's ranked number one in their category with over 300 businesses on Trustpilot. And hurry to upstart.com/kindafunny to find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes and won't affect your credit score. That's upstart.com/kindafunny. Greg.
Hey, bud.
One Night Stand.
One Night Stand.
It's a game?
Kind of funny games showcase alum finally came out. You know what I mean?
From the bar to the one night stand.
I mean, it's all the same
Perfect
thing, right?
segue,
It's the
Tim.
sequel, right?
Cinematic universe going
So
on.
yeah, a visual novel that came into PC forever ago, but made its way over here to consoles now. If you remember, I think we had during our kind of a game showcase the announcement it was coming to Switch as well. So. This might, if you ring a bell for Games Daily listeners, that on Monday or whatever, somebody wrote in saying, hey, you missed that it's out. And I was like, I didn't realize it was out. Like, oh my God, what? That sucks. I'll go home and get it right away. Went home, bought it. Then the next day we had time here, started it up to play it, right? And get into it. And as soon as I started up, it was the Radalika Games logo. And I was like, hold the fucking phone. And I powered down that Switch and went over to PlayStation, got it there. Because Radalika Games is the one who makes all the cheap platinums. if you're going to get a Radalika game, you're getting a platinum pretty gosh darn easy. Well, I'm 100% a trophy whore. You know this. But everybody stop. I'm doing if you're an audio listener, I'm doing the Jurassic Park, hold back all the raptors here. The game is good. The game is a good game. It's a good indie game. It lives up to what I saw in it when we put it on the showcase.
So why'd they make it then?
They didn't make it. They just published it.
Yeah,
They
okay.
publish stuff.
They do publish stuff that's not just.
Oh
the
yeah, well remember I've
trophy-focused
talked
stuff.
about it before, where that Mega Man one, where it was an easy platinum, but there was a
Yeah.
lot more game. But I liked what I played of it and got me into want to play more. They don't. Rattle isn't just like,
Got it.
hey, we make shit games. Like, yeah, we put easy trophy lists in all our games.
I just thought it was weird. It's like, because I thought they just made trophy games. Like, now here's this artsy game about a one-night system.
Well,
What the
again,
fuck?
like you figure this is a game. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, right? That came to PC and Mac in 2016. So like it's been out for a while,
Man,
right?
where were you
So
then, Greg?
I was like any normal person, be like, see you later. You know what I mean? I don't need a computer virus.
Missing out, man.
All right.
Yet another
Chris
PC
Hansen's
exclusive.
never been like, show me the Switch logs. All right. He's like, show me the logs from the computer. All right. That's how he gets the pedophiles, Fran.
Wow.
So I'm just saying,
Wow,
protect
okay.
yourself, Fran. You never know who you're playing Destiny with out there. All right.
It's true. That is true.
Anyways, One Night Stand, it is an attainable platinum that I got yesterday and had a great time with after a few hours. But even without the platinum, if it would have just been on Switch and I wouldn't have known any better and I would have just played it on Switch, it would have been a game that I would have kept coming back to. Because the concept here is it's a visual novel. You wake up hungover, you pick up your phone, you finally go to charge your phone, you're like, this isn't my room. You roll over, there's a naked woman next to you. It's just her back, everybody. This isn't a gratuitous sex game or anything.
Oh.
It's not a Vita game.
Exactly. This isn't a video game.
I'm out.
You roll over, she's there, and then it's off to the races of you were blackout drunk, you don't remember anything, so you need to use clues in the environment to piece that together, and then that also is how much do you want to share with the stranger? Do you want to tell her that you don't know anything? Do you want to try to play it off? Do you want to find out her name by digging through her wallet? Do you want to what are your boundaries of privacy? What do you want to do with the clues in the room? How do you want to engage with the
Check those
situation?
PC logs.
Exactly. There is a PC there. And then there's a bunch of different endings based on that then. So you get to go through all these different things.
The story sounds cool. Watching you play it, it did not look interesting to me.
Yeah, but I think that's because it's not a Tim game.
Yeah,
it's not a Tim game.
But the idea of the story sounds like it definitely could be. You know,
Right.
it's like I like those type of Emily's Away, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
So what about
art style,
watching it didn't do? Okay.
the art style rubbed me the wrong way.
Very
I really,
minimalist,
I don't
kind of
like
Dr.
the
Katz to an extent. Of
Ed,
like
Ed, and
Wiggly.
Eddie look.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Dr.
everything's
Katz,
just
I'm old, yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
shaking, and I'm like, it just seems it's very distracting looking.
Gotcha.
And then the gameplay elements that I saw, it's just the type of stuff that I don't really like, where it's just like I saw like the phone dialing things, right, and it's just like your dialogue options are on each of the buttons as you go through. It just seems.
Oh, you're
kind
talking
of
about
like,
the end of it. That was just me looking at the endings.
Oh,
And when
the
the only time you look at your phone is in the very beginning when you get a text to wake up to,
Got
and you
it.
either decide if you want to text Gary back or not, and then there's an option in the second part of that conversation if you want to send him a photo of the woman next to you, so then at the end though, your phone pops up with all those different endings.
Yeah.
So that's to show you what endings you've unlocked, and then as you hover over them, if you don't have them, it gives you a clue of how to get it.
Okay, so that makes it a lot better. But still watching you do it, it looked like it's a game that would be best suited on a phone. Like when playing Florence, right? It's like a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that you're doing is super simple and you know exactly what you need to do. It's just a matter of doing it. Doing that with a controller would be infuriating.
Gotcha.
And like watching what you were doing with the controller there, I was kind of like, that just, he knows what he needs to do, or there's a choice he needs to make. This just seems like busy work to make it a video game instead
Yeah.
of just it being a story
Touchscreen.
somewhere. But like, am I wrong about that?
I didn't have that problem, but I like visual novels. I like well done visual novels. I like these narrative adventures when they're well done. So for me, I was using the stick to move the cursor around a la Destiny, right? Give me a pound there. But you could use the D-pad and kind of lock onto stuff and go that way too. And I haven't played it on Switch, even though I have it over there. It might be touchscreen there too, which would be a more simple blah blah click on doing thing. But that was never a complaint for me. It was more of like I thought it handled the fast forward feature well, of like you can set it to all text or just text you've seen before, because obviously when you do a run, you see something, you come back and you want to see a different branch, there's still dialogue choices, or there's still conversations that you have with yourself that you need to get through to get to the next thing to change it.
What's the tone of the game? Is it funny or is it serious?
It can be either. And that's the best part about it, I think, is that it like I tweeted out, Kevin, if you want, can you go to my Twitter and bring up the last thing I tweeted up about this game? You want me to link you to it?
What is the game about? Because I'm still getting we've heard the title. I don't know the central concept of this.
The concept is you've woken up next to somebody, you don't remember anything. How do you want to handle it?
Is it like a thriller or is it?
I mean, it can be if you want it to be. If there's pills next to the bed, you can look at them and then jump to conclusions about that, which will take you down a very specific ending if you want to go that way. It is this idea of do you want to lie to this woman? How much does she know about you? And then, what do you want to do, right? Because if Kevin can get to it, keep scrolling. It's still today. I tweet too much. I apologize. You're going to see one that has all sorts of text on it. Keep going. You're almost there. There you go, big guy. That's the one. Right, like every time you walk out of the house, you get a the epilogue here of what it is. So like if you're an audio listener, it says, the girl waves you goodbye as you step outside her front door. You walk out onto the street and head towards the nearby bus station that she suggested. You smile on your way. It turned out she really is a nice girl, and you stole her panties.
Ew, you pervert.
Hey man,
Perfect.
get that
My
trophy.
favorite thing about you playing this was Nick.
Trophy.
Yeah.
Nick Scarpino looks over at Greg playing this game. Is just like, it looks like you're playing a simulation of a sexual harassment
A training simulator. Like when you start at Walmart and you're like, what shouldn't you say to
So
a
funny.
coworker?
It does look like that though. Like,
Yeah. And so the tone about it is there's funny stuff like that with the panties in it. There's more unfunny stuff. I think the true ending, when you've done it all and you've unlocked every one of the endings, is a gut punch. That was like one of those like
It's your sister.
not exactly. No, not at all. But it was a very much like, oh fuck, I didn't like. You've seen so much, and there's narrative threads. You're like, oh, I want to pull on that later, but you get pulled away from it. And so to get to the end of it and find out a little bit more and put the whole thing in context, you're like, oh man, I didn't see that coming. Like if you like these kind of games, if you like those kind of explorations, if you like, the same way I was with like telling lies, of like keeping notes and doing all these different things. If you like uncovering stuff and trying to connect it all together, it works for me.
Cool.
So, like, you've talked about Nina Freeman's game last week. You've talked about Telling Lies before. You seems like you prefer these like shorter, like bite-sized visual novels.
Yeah,
You
it's
ever thought
in
about-
between stuff, right?
Okay.
For me, where it's like I'm on a Borderlands kick, or I want to get back and platinum this. I'm waiting for Death Stranding. I'm doing this. Yeah, like for in between big games or whatever, or just a palate cleanser. Yeah.
But like the bigger ones don't necessarily appeal to you, like
Like
say a Zero Escape series or Phoenix
Yeah,
Wright.
Zero Escape, I didn't like on Vita when I tried jumping into those because they were too much of like, now, how do you spin the clock and figure out this? I'm like, I don't want a detective mystery in terms of like puzzles.
Right.
I like the relationships being the puzzle. You know what I mean? Of like okay, cool. Like she has a guitar there and there's a trophy for her playing it. How do I get to her to playing the guitar? That's a
Right.
different kind of thing.
I think actually you might genuinely enjoy Danganronpa.
I've tried so many times. Like I
Really?
started on Vita. Colin loved Danganronpa. And so like I would jump in and try to go with it. It just never clicked for me. The one I am excited about that you were talking about the other day for me too is Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah.
Where I never played that.
Not really a
Like,
visual novel, but yeah. it's
people were talking to me about it more of like if I liked with Telling Lies, like the Notebook idea,
Yes.
that I could get a kick out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like I was also like on that same track. There's a new game from the guy who made the Zero Escape series called like AI: The Somnium Files.
Okay.
That I had not heard about until last week at all. But it sounds like it's more up my alley. It's like the visual novel thing, but more of like a murder like trial kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look into that sometime soon. But this reminded me to
Yeah.
give that a shot.
Yeah. See, it's something I think about setting too, in the same way that, the old thing was like, I don't like space.
Yeah.
Because it takes such a specific space video game for me to be interested in it. Like, I think these are all, granted, fantastical, but more like based in, this happens after, one night stands after a night of drinking, right? Nina's thing is just her falling in love. Telling Lies is real world, terrorism and all this other stuff, but like it is based on these are people, right? Like that aren't getting super far removed. Whereas like Danganronpa was like, I'm the exceptionally average student, and the exception. I'm like, all right, and the teddy bear's talking. I'm like, all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't work for me.
You need something to hook on to.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to figure out what happened with this sexual relationship is about it. And then also, like, it reminds. Oh shit, I'm not gonna remember. There's a PlayStation 2 game I loved. That was the first time I ever did something like this, and I'll have to look it up and get back to you. But it's that idea of like, every time that you finish one of those screens, right? It's like, that could have gone better. I wonder how else it could have ended. It's like how I feel when I finish them. I want to keep seeing it. Like I didn't look at, for the trophies even, I didn't look at the trophy list for a long time. Like I did it, I think.
You don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to know what I was actually driving at. I just wanted to see what I could find out about it.
Right.
Very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our sponsors.
Our very cool sponsors.
Yeah, next week, something I was trying to figure out here, we're sponsored by this thing called Escape the Invasion.
Escape room.
Have you heard of this?
No.
It reminds me of this Telling Lies thing that you're talking about, where it's like you have to take notes and figure out things. It's a weird.
It's a video game.
It's a real game. Like it's a life game, man.
That was Escape Room.
It's an
it is
escape
an
room,
escape
but
room,
like we don't need to go anywhere type thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You
It's
do it in
here.
your home.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
Interesting.
It's interesting stuff. It looks really cool. You get sent this box. This week's not sponsored, but you'll hear all
So
about
this
it
is
next
just
week.
for-
But it's just I was trying to figure out because I remember somebody that designed this also worked on telling lies or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, you get this box, you have to figure out this mystery.
It's a neat idea.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Like Clue.
But
Like a loot box that sends out a monthly escape room would actually be a pretty cool idea.
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then there's like chapters that you figure out to like fill the whole story in. Cool stuff. Greg,
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 remote play.
That's right, Tim. So, as everybody knows, I am looking forward to the streaming future. Stadia, xCloud, who's going to get there first? Who's going to make it
Negative
work?
latency, dude.
Yeah, it's going to predict everything I do. Every time I talk about it, someone will chime up with, well, Greg, you already have that ability with remote play. To which I always say, I used remote play on my PlayStation Vita, sir, and it did not work well. Good day! And even when they launched the PlayStation remote play apps on iOS, it was, oh, wow, this is cool. Wait, I can't connect the controller. Fuck this. And so with iOS 13, right, right before iOS 13, they patched in the ability to use controllers, right? Mm-hmm. I finally sunk one up, went on the road this past weekend, and I'm like, all right, it's the test. I'm in a hotel. I want to play Concrete Genie back home. Let's do it. So I open the iPad, open remote play, sunk up my controller, which is super easy. You just hold the share. Well, hold on, I gotta hold it. Yeah, you hold the PlayStation button and the share button, and then it'll sync to whatever Bluetooth you find. You click through, do it. Got it in, started it up, and I was blown away. Concrete Genie ran so well. Streaming it to my iPad on hotel internet.
From your
it,
home PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Real fast, how did, because your PlayStation was off, or what happens if you turn your PlayStation off, or how does that work?
It's from rest mode. It can boot.
So as long as you don't full power off.
Exactly. You can't full power off. It's got to be remote.
That's
Yeah.
a feature now.
Yeah, that's always been a remote plays thing, even with the Vita.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And so I was playing it for I'd say probably 45 minutes, just playing it in bed on the iPad. It wasn't artifacting like it used to on the Vita. And I know this is stuff based on years ago, but similar to how we talk with PlayStation now, it was an experience of, this is cool, not practical, never going to do it again, bye. So to come back to it and have it run, have it be incredibly low latency, I think maybe, I noticed, maybe I should jump just a little bit earlier. But not to any point where I was like, oh, this is unplayable, or even really noticing. It's one of those I debated kind of things. And again, hotel internet, I was like, fine. Then out of the blue, connection error, it's over, it crashed. I'm like, what the fuck? I kept trying to reconnect, it couldn't reconnect, tweeted about it, and then later in the day, Lucy, my roommate, she sent me a text, and it was her smart lights in her bedroom had informed her that, hey, there'd been an internet power outage. The internet went out today. Just so you know.
Wi-Fi router.
So it's like nobody was in the house, so I don't exactly know what happened. But it was like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't a remote play's fault.
Yeah, your PlayStation was just unreachable.
Exactly.
Your house, probably.
But I had so much fun with it there, Tim, that I was like, you know what? Again, Imran, I'm ready for the streaming future.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I did is I went to the old Amazon.com, you might have heard of them, and I bought one of those doodads you stick on your controller so you can put your phone in it. Got one of those, right? Because I'm like, all right, test an iPad. I was really impressed with it. Will it work as well on iPhone? I connected it to the controller, put my iPhone in there, and while Jen watched Netflix on the native TV app to make sure I use all the time.
got it.
You know what I mean?
WebOS.
I booted up the PlayStation through remote play, started playing more Concrete Genie there, and it ran, I thought, even better there. Because again, now it's like on the same Wi-Fi network. We're really close. It's not hotel internet. We have good internet at home. Exactly. And had a great time running around and playing on that. And then I tried to reconnect here at the office today, and the internet's not strong enough in our office to actually connect this. So that's where we're at.
Do you know if there's any recommended settings for this?
Of course there are. I don't know them off the top of my head. I can Google them for you if you like. Yeah. But it's just a quick update of I think I did, and right or wrong, write it off. You know what I mean? And I still don't think it's perfect, right? I'm going. We go to EGLX next weekend. Come see us, and then from there, I'm doing a week in vacation with Jen in Montreal, right in her family's rural Quebec town. I'm packing my PlayStation 4. I'm not everything's solved, whatever internet they have, and when Stadia comes, it's less of an investment of me. I want to try this, and when I get xCloud on the phone, it'll be the same thing of that's less of an investment of dragging things along. But I was pleasantly surprised with everything, and I think it's a cool fix for me, especially of when I've been playing in the living room. While Jen will watch something on TV. I've really lately been breaking out the second PlayStation 4 or just the game screen and connecting it to the main PS4. But it's so much less work, right? Of boop, boop this up and have it in if it's good enough.
This is technically not cloud gaming, right? This is your computer or your
this is
PS4.
Peer-to-peer.
Acting as a hub for your
right. My PlayStation 4 and my home internet beams it to wherever that beams it. Yeah. Well, I guess there's got to be a middleman, right? It beams it up to the cloud.
Yeah.
I guess, but it's not cloud. It's running from my PlayStation 4. The cloud would be up there. xCloud and Stadia are. I'm going to the super servers in the sky, and it's coming back to me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from your home server,
Right.
which is your PlayStation, which
Yeah.
is actually that's what Xbox was talking a lot about with Scarlet is that other option, right?
Yeah,
Where
th-
like
they
just
said
play from home and
you can use your Xbox as a server for other people.
Exactly.
Which is weird, and I don't know what they plan to really do with that. But
same
sure.
concept. Let them just play from your home
And
console.
charge them? Whatever.
They do recommend 15 megabits per second down and up, actually. So pretty high rec.
15 up.
Up is a
the more
lot.
difficult
by the way.
part.
I don't know why it says both. I think they're being super safe, but I don't know why they would need that much.
Yeah, I think I
Internet
could do
speeds these
down.
days. Can we just give a shout? There's two shout outs I want to give, Kev Doc.
Here we go, Kev.
All right. Yesterday, I was on Amazon. I didn't need to buy anything, but I
Sure,
was just
you're
like,
just
I was like,
browsing.
what do I want to look for? Every once in a while, I'm just gonna look up hard
Yeah, just
drives.
see it.
I just want to see what hard drives are.
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
SSD price.
I want to know that. I want to, but a nice hefty external hard drive. You can get a 10,
12, yeah,
10 terabyte, 10 fucking
Guess.
terabyte.
Guess. Have them
Guess how
guess.
much?
$180.
200.
10 terabytes.
I know because I've been looking at them too.
$100. 10 terabytes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
God, what a time to be alive. And then internet. I hate Comcast. Fuck Comcast. But I got an email from Comcast. It's just like, hey, man, guess what? We're upgrading your internet. And I'm like, that's cool. And
Get
they
ahead of the
upgraded to like
complaints.
275 down.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Careful,
okay.
because
Can I-
eventually they'll just take away the upgrade, or like they'll raise the price.
I am well aware
And
of
it's
all
one of
that.
those things where it's
But
like-
I downloaded the what was it called? 4K 83, the Return of the Jedi
Right.
thing, 65 gigs. Oh baby, Kevin, that thing was done in like half hour.
Insane.
Yeah,
What a world we live in.
I
I
know.
want to shout out Sonic, which is my ISP. It is the best ISP I've ever had. I have like gigabit internet. Yeah, Sonic. And like when I download off Steam, it is not the transfer rate to a hard drive is what's limiting it.
Yeah,
That's what's slowing it down. Otherwise, it goes like at a good 300, 400 megs a second.
insane,
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's exciting that it works. I think I'd be curious for you to try a faster moving game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Division and again, I don't think for latency.
Well, that's
but
the
look
thing,
of
right?
it.
Of like, how do I, like, with us in Borderlands, right? Where, again, like, I want to chip away at that platinum. I don't want to be doing that if it's not running well.
Yeah, yeah. I think the irony is like trying to get it done in a hotel, which is where you want to use it most, is the worst place to test it. Weird.
But again,
like,
it worked. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, Concrete Genie worked. And again, like, maybe that wouldn't be for every game I would ever want to play. But, like, I was still like, oh, shit. Like, this is actually.
Yeah, I would have been surprised too.
It was well above playable. It felt great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think hotel internet is going to be the big limiting factor there.
Yeah.
Because like it worked for you then, but will it work, let's say, at E3 when everyone in the hotel
Yep,
is using the internet
100%.
at the same time?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it bodes well certainly for Stadia and hopefully the new cloud platforms from PlayStation and Xbox, because ideally you don't want to go all the way back to your own home server, run into the
Yeah.
troubleshooting. You do want it running direct from a cloud to as fast to you as possible, which would be even better and hopefully look better. I'm
That's
kinda
what
wondering,
Stadia's whole thing is.
Yeah, how this gets encoded. The video that gets to you, I guess, is
I'll try again.
your PlayStation, I guess, probably is just encoding it because it's not being used. Well, I don't know. In other words, I wonder if it goes through a PlayStation cloud to encode the video signal. If you know,
I mean,
send it
the-
into
yeah.
kindoffunny.com/Gamescast. You're wrong. I said it
You're
incorrectly before, so you can put that. You can strike that.
Wow.
I said / you're wrong, which is for Games Daily. Gamescast, you're wrong. Give us the details.
So what happens when the internet does get disconnected? Like what happens on the PS4?
Now,
yeah,
that,
what does it do? Is it just blow up?
I'm dated on this, and I can't prove it or not because I jokingly tweeted at Lucy, "Hey, if you get home tonight, my PlayStation's on. Turn it off." She didn't tell me if it was or not. The way I understood it, because that was a question I asked when PlayStation 4 came out, and they were like, "You can use your Vita." From what I understand, is if you get disconnected, it should be smart enough to turn itself off. But I'm not sure if that's an overall
standby.
default thing
Yeah,
or if
exactly.
it's just a power save function, which I have turned off.
It's probably the general power save. I'd be surprised if it puts it back to sleep after a disconnect. But you never know.
Yeah.
In other words, like mine just will go to sleep eventually if I leave it on.
Yeah.
Probably, as long as you got that on, you'll be fine.
Imran,
It's very cool.
I'm really interested to hear about Yooka-Laylee,
Yeah, the
And-
Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair.
the Impossible Lair.
It's
So
a full sequel.
yeah, it's sort
A
of.
different style game,
Yeah.
but it's a full sequel.
It's the third one now.
This
No,
is
it's the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, it
the
is the
first
second
first one was like a Banjo-Kazooie
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know what Yooka-Laylee
copy.
is.
The second one though is a 2D side scroller.
It's a Donkey Kong Country
platformer.
copy.
Yeah.
So like they are kind of going back to different rare roots of saying like, hey, we made Donkey Kong Country. Why don't we try, making that kind of game again? And the problem with Yooka-Laylee was that it tried to make a Banjo-Kazooie without really modernizing it. I think we talked before about, you and I, about Mario Odyssey is a more modern example of that kind of game. Yooka-Laylee didn't do that. It tried to be that N64 game with better graphics. This is more accurately taking from Tropical Freeze.
Which is a fantastic
Yes.
inspiration.
It is.
Retro
Tropical
Studios.
Freeze is one of the best, if not the best, 2D platformer out there. Period.
Absolutely.
So, when you open this or first play this game, you're like, okay, this is not subtle at all. And I played this at PAX. And I talked to the developers at it. I was like, yeah, this is a lot like Tropical Freeze, and I don't know if they were joking or they're just trying to avoid the comparison. They're like, yeah, none of us have played that.
Probably
I'm
the
like,
latter.
you motherfuckers, you're lying. You're lying to your team.
You lying, boy.
One of you worked
They
on
must
Tropical
have been
Freeze. You can't tell me that, but they're trying to not invite compare. They're not trying to have that same thing of you're expecting this exact game, which is good because it's not the exact game. It's a lot more inspired by it.
Interesting. How is it different?
So the central conceit of this game is that there's an impossible lair, which is the first level in the game. It is a very long 2D platformer gauntlet that has no checkpoints. It has bosses. It is basically a Dan Reichert Mario Maker level. That you can, to get through this level, you can do it at the start of the game. Speaking of Breath of the Wild, you can just go right there and do it, but you only get 2 hits. If you get hit in that twice in that time, you're out of the level. You have to start over again. As you go through the game on the world map, you start collecting these bees. And each bee you get at the end of a stage will add another hit to you for the Impossible Lair. So as you, there's a very large top-down world map that you're wandering around and you see these open books and you go in them for levels. The world map itself has, puzzles and things like that, oh, well, this wall is closing off this area, so I need to grab a bomb from here and quickly get it there. It's, let's say, a very light Zelda-like kind of feel to it. What you can do at, I want to say about the 33% of the game, you find out that if you affect those chapters, the books on the world map, with certain things you can do in the world map, then it changes the level. So let's say there's a level early on called, the factory level, which is based around buzzsaws and flowers and all that. It's very Donkey Kong Country. So you do that level, you come back an hour later, and you set up a thing that you can start water flowing to that level. Once you go set up the water flowing onto it, it becomes a water level that is straight up Donkey Kong Country, aquatic ambience, style music, all that
Did
stuff.
David Wise do the music?
David
for
Wise
this?
and Grant Kirkhope are both are composers for it.
No shit.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they were tag teaming again, basically.
Damn.
So you get some of their best hits from it, and honestly, it's one of the best soundtracks of the year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But so there's stuff like that. You can throw ice at this one. This one is you turn on a machine that lets in a bunch of enemies that are constantly spawning in it. And it seems like an interesting way to reuse the level, but the levels are almost entirely new once you change it. So they're reusing some assets, but the design is different. And it feels and plays differently. So, I guess the main criticism I have of it is that if you're going in there expecting Tropical Freeze, that's why I'm saying it's not exactly like Tropical Freeze, it'll be disappointing because it's not as polished. And not as polished as a Nintendo game is a pretty weak criticism.
Yeah.
It's obviously not going to... Nintendo does that, perfectly. So you try and get, it gets a little repetitive as you start seeing some of the same concepts and areas, and, all these inside areas look a lot of the same. But it's obviously an indie budget game, so you understand that a bit better than, the $60 or $50 on Wii U.
Is it full price? Or?
It's 30 or 40, I think.
I'll double check.
But it's a very interesting idea. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. The first level, it's it's a carousel. You're just going through and you're collecting all the coins. You're getting everything you need to collect. By the second level, I was losing Laylee, who's the bat. Whenever you get hit, she freaks out and flutters away. So what you can do is there are equipable potions. Or tonics, because it's Platonic. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you can spend the leaves or
$30.
Yeah, you can spend. So I'll get to that in a second. You can spend the feathers to buy tonics, and what they'll do is you can either make the game easier or harder on yourself by doing them. So, for example, there's a tonic that puts googly eyes on every enemy. Cool. That also makes them harder. So they take one more hit. There's a tonic that makes Laylee escape less frantically, so she'll be easier to catch, and then you won't have to lose the hit. Or things like that.
Okay, so her escaping, you have to get it, so it's kind of like Yoshi's Island?
Yeah,
with
it's like Baby Mario,
popping
yeah.
off.
So if you use a tonic that makes the game easier, you get less feathers, or quills, I think there are. If you make the game harder, then you get more. So you're kind of gambling through, you never game over, there are no lives, so as long as you have a checkpoint, you're good.
So with the tonics, can you play a couple levels on hard and then drink the other tonic and like change it up on the fly?
Every time you open or go into a level, it gives you this is your set of tonics. You can change it up there. You can turn them off completely. You can do whatever. If you want to go into an earlier one and start grinding quills, you can do that too.
Very cool.
So, like in the world map, there's one joke I like. Granted, I've never liked this like Rareware style humor, but there's one joke I like where the snake and our friend, NPC, whatever,
Snake friends.
he sets up a wall.
Snake frame.
And for you have to collect coins in the game or in the levels to like get past this wall. And he's like, "Oh well, yeah, it's a modern game, so you obviously I erected a paywall for you."
There we go.
Got him.
And that's how they lock off new things. And like it's
Got.
I genuinely like the game.
Yeah.
I think it's a little repetitive where I'm about I want to say halfway through at this point.
Okay.
About like 8-9 chapters in, but I genuinely think it's their best attempt at a new platformer revival in a long time.
That's awesome to hear. So Tropical Freeze, I freaking love it.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on some of the other Donkey Kong Country games?
I would say 2 is one of the best. 2 is the best one for sure. It's one of the best 2D platformers.
I like this guy a lot. Yeah.
64 is a terrible, terrible thing that we don't
We're
talk
not talking about that.
Yeah.
Just the country games.
I would go Tropical Freeze, 2 Returns, 3 1.
Cool. Oh, dude. Oh, three's the bottom. But where do you think, you're only halfway through this, so it might not be fair to fully say it, but where do you think this would fall on that list?
I'd probably put it above Returns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't like Returns that much.
Me neither.
Yeah. I think they really nailed it with Tropical Freeze. Like that is, like I said, one of the best, probably the best 2D platformer out there.
Yeah.
And like they mostly nail the emulation of this, like in terms of controls and style, visual design. Like they straight up rip off that one Tropical Freeze thing of every piece of the environment has some reason to be there. So it's not just platforms floating in the sky or whatever.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the things I loved about Tropical Freeze is so much care was put into the fact that if something is falling on you or you're landing on something, there's an environmental reason for it to be there. So they ripped that off completely, but it's for the better.
Yeah. Man. Oh, you got me really
Inspired
stoked.
by
I'm
it.
definitely going to play
I
this
definitely
now.
say you should give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm going to for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's $30 game. It looks like on Best Buy it said $40 on Switch. I don't know.
Might be
why.
for the physical edition.
Oh, that is for the physical edition.
I was
Yeah.
looking at a PlayStation Store.
Why is it $30 for the physical edition
Because
of the other ones?
Switch cards cost money.
Got to pay that truck
we're back
driver,
to
Fran.
64 days.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that there was that price discrepancy. Nintendo can't afford to pay for the difference. Sorry.
Fran, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, we can always return to this another time if you want. I don't know how much time we have left, but when I came on the show last week, we were only a couple days into Shadowkeep. I was preparing for the raid. Played, I believe, all the story by then, though, so I kind of got a taste of that. But now I'm getting deeper into the endgame grind, but I got to do the raid. And as a reminder, when I do the raid, it's for World's First. That came out on Saturday, so I played with the Destiny Community Podcast
Did
group.
you do it?
No. If we ever get World First, it will be amazing. It's not that it's not possible, but I mean, you're playing up against people who they spend every day of the week in Destiny, they spend 100 hours on it optimizing already. They have every last thing, and they're just incredibly good. I mean, they're esports level pro players with their thinking. But we did really well, though. We played for about 14 hours the first day. We got to the end, and under contest, what they do is they keep you about 20 levels under the power of the enemies, and that's a pretty big differential that it hurts a lot. And so it gets tougher and tougher as you go towards the end. So after the 14 hours, we could have kept going probably, I'd say, for another 8 or 9 hours, or if we got lucky, 3, and we would have been, in the top, say, 200 people or 100 people probably. But we went to bed, slept, for a reasonable amount of time, came back the next day, where they took the cap off. What that means is now, for example, when we were in the end, I was 920 hard cap on that, meaning I couldn't be any more powerful no matter if my light was higher, and it was. The bosses are like 940. So when I came in the next day, it turned out my power was like 930 something. So again, you're only 7 light levels away from the boss. So anyway, where I'm going with this is it was much easier the next day, but still a very difficult encounter. If you don't know a lot about Destiny, what makes raids so special, 6 people in a raid doing first-person shooter, combat together, but all these new RPG elements on top of working together to solve stuff. So without spoiling anything, the raid has a mechanic throughout it where you have to tether wire together, stand close enough, and get that wire to move to things and do things. And so you're in the middle of like super intense combat doing that. It was very difficult, a lot of fun staying alive. So anyway,
Strands that connect you.
strands.
Oh, it's a strand game.
There's a stranding.
There's only one strand game.
There's a
ladies and
social
gentlemen.
strand system in Destiny's raid.
How great would that be?
Kojima,
Jeff Keighley's
somebody should
like,
tell
and the
him.
award for best strand game goes to Destiny 2. Kojima like pulls up his hat.
Turned into a wrestling match all of a sudden. Anyway, so the raid is really cool. One of my favorites. Beautiful. These things are tough to get into, but if you really do try, and it won't take you that long. I'd say if you just hop, here's the cool part, right? I've been playing Destiny since Destiny 1 for, 2,500 hours. You don't have to do all that. You can hop straight in. You're already leveled up to 750, right? The power now that you would need to be for the raid, I'd say get up to about 920. So you're only going from 750 to 920, which I would say you can do in 20, 30 hours, depending, somewhere in there, maybe more, depending on how you're doing. But then you can go in and just go to like an LFG group, or there's places, and you can do this without having, say, 5 very close friends that you go in with. That's my preference. But it's such a cool experience. It's unforgettable experiences, these raids. I can pinpoint where I was, the day and the temperature outside sometimes for these raids. Because
At your house in front of your computer.
No, I was on PlayStation all through Destiny 1, Greg.
you were,
And
boy.
the
Oh, yeah,
launch
you
of
were,
Destiny
boy.
2, buddy.
And then you
Still.
became a traitor.
I told you, Greg, when you are ready and have the time, we
you're
want to
coming
out. We
back.
want to
You're
get you
coming
out
back.
there, and we'll play on PlayStation because I can do cross save now.
So, Fran,
So anyway, raid, totally cool.
if people want to hear much more in depth,
Yeah.
Destiny 2 talk,
We're running out of time.
Where could they look?
Well, we'll talk about it more here on the show. I'll be darn sure of that. However, head over, honestly, any night of the week, Pacific time, after about 9 or 10 Pacific time, you can head over to my Twitch channel, FM3_. A lot
you
of
go.
Destiny there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get to the post show. Thank you very much for joining us. If we got anything wrong, go to kindoffunny.com/gamescast. You're wrong to let us know what we got wrong. Oh, Greg, I just got something cool.
I thought you were going to say,
I'm excited. I know what that is then.
Post show time, baby.